Here, a couple of months ago, before the DA's Federal Congress, you said you wouldn't be going for this position. What made you to mandash and accept the nomination?
Samkele, thank you very much. I think the first thing that one has to consider is that we're not in government by ourselves, and we are always in the party or in party leadership because there are people that nominate you to be in that particular position, and there are people who believe that you can do certain things. So what happened in this instance, I did say, that I was not availing myself. But when you are presented by members of the party who are saying, look, this is what you did in 2016, and believing that that can be the trend that you continue with, we stand a very good chance of you winning. And therefore, I need to then say, well, if there are people that believe that I can, bring in, the numbers, I can do a good job, why shouldn't I avail myself? Because do I want to come up 2019 where we have done badly and look back and say, well, I should have? And therefore, I had to reconsider, and here we are. It was a rigorous process, as had been explained much earlier on, of getting to select a candidate. And we are going to be relying on all 7 of, the aspirants that were there to rally behind the campaign and all the structures that are going to be there in amplifying the message and in making sure that we actually do indeed bring change in Gauteng.
Are you alluding that if these other 7 candidates had made it to the position of being the DA's premier candidates in 2019, the DA would have probably done badly in the 2019 general election and we were better off than all of them?
No. I am saying to you, when people are presenting that, people who are nominating you are presenting that. And therefore, if there is a belief by the person who's nominating you to say you stand a better chance, and they convincingly tell you what needs to happen or what you have done that can actually be, repeated, and therefore you now need to reconsider. So, I had to consider what was proposed to me, not to say that the other candidates would have been bad. I'm sure the people that nominated them also thought that they would do a better job. So I had to avail myself based on what has, been said to me, and I availed myself, and here we are.
What then happens to the people of the capital city, Tshwane? Are you going to stay on as the mayor of the capital city, or are you stepping down in that position?
Well, I'm not going to step down. Now I'm going to continue being the mayor. I'm still going to meet with my caucus. I'm still going to meet with my top management in terms of how we then do this. One thing that has been happening and has never been questioned before. Even the president of the country will go on a campaign. The premier will still be campaigning, as the ANC provincial chairperson will continue to campaign. Therefore, it's an issue of how do you then strike a balance to ensure that the people of Tshwane don't, in the long run, suffer as well.
I asked you off air, what then happens if a protest erupts in Soshanguve or in Hammanskraal whilst you are busy campaigning, for instance, in Soweto or in the Midvaal? What then? Which area do you then prioritize? Do you prioritize the people whom have elected you as the mayor of Tshwane, or do you prioritize the DA wish of governing Gauteng and stay in Soweto?
Well, I think it's those issues that have already taken place a number of times. Protests happen on a regular basis, and sometimes you have 2 or 3 protests that are taking place in different areas on a single day. And what normally happens is that you're able to then send one of your MMCs to another, you're attending to another, and you're able to then deal officially with other protests as well. Not only protests, when even there is stakeholders that would want to engage you. It's an issue how you then prioritize what needs to happen in the city versus what needs to also happen in this campaign. And by the way, I'm not going to be the only one campaigning, for the 2019 provincial elections. It's a collective of people that are going to make sure that this becomes a success. So that's how I'm looking at it, and we'll also be able to rope in a number of people, including some of the aspirant or the people that were aspirant candidates, into being the face of what needs to happen as well going forward.
There have been reports this morning of a sweet deal for an implementing agent or a contractor whom you've appointed in Tshwane. Basically, they're alluding that after that 1 billion rands or alleged 1 billion rands contract that they've got free office space in the city of Tshwane in the mayoral offices to operate from. Is there any substance to these allegations?
In the mayoral office, you can't have any contractor
not
in the mayoral office.
Not necessarily in the mayoral office, but in the city of Tshwane buildings where the council actually sits, and other city buildings. They are alluding that this particular contractor, whom your opposition, the ANC, has spoken about, saying that it's basically the on-point engineers of Tshwane.
The on-point engineers.
No, it's not the on-point engineers company.
Okay.
It's this implementing agent, a construction company from Midrand, whom has been awarded a contract by the city of Tshwane to basically overlook contracts of engineering and public infrastructure in the city of Tshwane. They are alluding that they have been given free office space in the capital city.
Well, Samkele, I think you need to appreciate that this is something that I've subjected, the whole contract that I've subjected to an investigation. I've asked for a legal opinion. I'm on record to say that we've looked into, I've asked formally questions of the process that has taken place. I've received responses from the city manager. I've subjected those to a legal opinion, and after that, we will then, after receiving that legal opinion, then take a step forward in terms of how we then deal with this matter going forward. So that is but a component of what needs to be looked at, and it's being looked at the moment. So the issue of the whatever the rates or how this was procured, or the issue of how the offices are being used, those are things that are all part of the investigation. That now, once we've received the report, we will then be able to then make an announcement and see how we're also able to then deal with this going forward. There has been responses from the city manager explaining how everything else has happened, but obviously looking into that, there's also now an issue about subjecting that to the legal minds and say, well, is this according to the rules? If not, then what do we do? If they are according to the rules, then we'll be able to then come back and say this was done because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that will be it. Remember, I cannot then say, as executive mayor, I cannot then say, tell me during a course of a procurement process, why are you appointing this one now? What is the step? What is the step? What you do is after or before you say what you want to see happening. After, if there's anything that is raised as irregularities, that's when you begin to then investigate. But you cannot, in the middle of a procurement process, get yourself involved, because that will be political meddling into the administration.
With all due respect to Mr. Solly Msimanga, your candidature also comes at a point in time where there have been serious allegations against your mayoralship in Tshwane. You've seen the appointment of Ms. Okamp with probably over R1 million salary without any qualifications. Many people have dubbed that the Hlaudi of Tshwane in the form of Lesego Makhubela. You've got at a political appointment in your office of someone who doesn't have qualifications per se for that particular office, who's a bodybuilder earning over R1 million within that aspect. Your governance in Tshwane has come with its own allegations which have been purported on the opposite side of the governing party. What does that say about Solly Msimanga's governance?
Well, Samkele, I think with coming into governance or government for the first time, you learn a certain number of things that you improve on, and then you move on from there. One of the things that I've also asked before was that, in the private political office of the mayor, who needs to be there and what needs to be advertised, as an example. I can tell you right now, ministers, MECs, premiers walk into an office and will tell people, you pack your computers, you walk out. Here are the people that I'm coming with. So what we did, it's something that has never been done before, is that we said, what are the positions that we want to fill, and then how do we then fill that up? So you realize that somehow maybe you need to then relook at the model that has been implemented. So do we run a perfect government? No, we don't. Do we make mistakes? Yes, we do. Do we fix them when we find that we've made mistakes that might have been contradicting perhaps the rule of law? Yes, we correct those, and we're not going to shy away from that.
Is there any smaller skeletons that will start coming out since your candidature for the DA's premiership has been announced? We've seen some allegations on Twitter yesterday evening about extramarital affairs, etc. Are there any skeletons that will start coming out now that you are gunning for the premiership of Gauteng?
Well, I think the important thing is to know that once you are in a political office, there's always going to be something that comes out. It happened with the president, Ramaphosa. It happened with everybody else who's aiming for office or who's in office. The issues that have come up yesterday, luckily we have got now some recordings of people who were planning to do these things. The account that
who were those people planning to do these things?
No. These are things that are going to be taken up. I'm seeking legal advice. The account that was used to create or to put out such information has subsequently now been deleted. So it's something that, the account was created on Friday, Saturday morning, the information gets put up, and then once people start questioning, then all of a sudden, then, it disappears. But it's things that we are now going to make sure that we deal with. But as I said, I mean, these are things that are going to continuously happen when you're in the political office.
Can I ask you to be as frank as possible as you can? Are these things being done internally within the Democratic Alliance?
Well, Samkele, all I will say to you is that we are looking into, investigating, what has been happening, what is happening in the city of Tshwane, what is happening in the ANC, what is happening, anywhere else to try and derail the campaign. It's things that we're going to look at.